Thank you, Amruda, for bringing it to a more traditional landscape, because I am going to speak about something uh, which is close to my heart. It's not, I must warn the audience, it's not something that I'm doing, it's a thought. It's something that nags at the back of my head, so it's just an idea that I'm introducing today. So, but before I get into the meat of the presentation, let's start at looking at this slide of Coca-Cola. Now, most of you are aware how Coca-Cola sells and distributes. So Coca-Cola as a company has decided that they are best at making the drink, but they are not best at selling the drink. So how they work is they work through bottlers. So they get into a country, speak to multiple bottlers or one bottler, depending on the expanse of the country, and that bottler then bottles their product and then sells it down to the consumer. And this way they're actually selling 1.9 billion drinks a day. Let's look at another very well-known company, Apple. So what Apple does is they obviously know that they are very good at creating this product, so they have created this fantastic product which they keep sort of upgrading from time to time. They sell through about 500 odd self-owned stores, but they know that by that they can't cover the whole population. So they also sell through authorized resellers, and through that, and if you were to see the numbers, only 30% of the sales comes through their own store, and 70% comes through resellers. And the list goes on and on. Let's look at the airline industry, for example. Most airlines, when they come into a new country, which is not their mother country, they work through what are called GSAs, because they know that it will take them time to understand the landscape, and they are not what I think is the specialist approach to selling. Now, why am I saying this? Let's look at closer to our industry, closer home to our industry. There are two types of models that exist. Okay, there is a third one, which is a hybrid. And at the cost of oversimplification, so you'll have to bear with the oversimplification here. If we were to break it down, and number one stands for operations. So if we were to look at the traditional model of management contract, the brand operates. Number two is distribution. So the brand also distributes. So if the brand was selling, if the brand was operating and the brand was distributing, and the way we pay them, how do we compensate to them as owners? By paying them a top line and a bottom line fees. That is your traditional management contract. At the other end, there is a franchise model, which exists today, where the owner, either themselves or through third party, would operate. The brand still more or less controls the distribution part. Yes, they can have their selling teams, but there are rules that are applied to the distribution side, which the brand still controls. How do we compensate them? By paying them a fee on the top line. This is the traditional franchise model, and somewhere in between is the franchise model without getting into the details of it. Now, what's the problem with this system? The problem with this system that I see as a representative for the owners is that the brands know how to operate. Now, that's not a problem. They have been doing this for hundreds of years. Nobody can operate a hotel better than a well-known brand. Anybody, I mean, there were examples taken, Marriott, Hilton. They know how to operate. But do the brands know how to sell? And that's where my problem is. If you look at the way the brands sell today, there are a million, boundaries that they will apply to selling. You can't get into the Genius program. You'll have to have rate parity. You can't do distribution through these channels because they don't fit into our system. So there are several issues. And we own 2 hotels on the Palm which are next to each other without taking the brand names. Most of you know that. And I get the sales and marketing program for both of them. And I can tell you, I can change the logo on top and you won't tell the difference. They are so close, they're literally twinning. And that's where my problem is. So all I'm introducing is this new thought. So this thought says, what if the operations was done by the brand, which is something that they need to do, but actually the sales side of it was controlled by the owner, either themselves or through a third party, where they could write the rules of engagement and not be blinkered by the boundaries that the brand is setting. What would be the fee structure in this? Potentially just a bottom line fee to the brand. And whatever the owner would save on the top line, they could then invest it into their sales and marketing model, and therefore have more control on the sales and marketing side. What will the model be called? I don't know. I haven't coined a name for it. Is it a golden pill? Is it a silver bullet? No. Not everybody can do this. But potentially, if you are an owner with multiple hotels in a single geography or in a clustered geography, there is an opportunity for you to set up your own sales and distribution network and gain by doing it well and better than the brands. Thank you.
Yeah, for a question. Short on time, so let's be quick.
Yeah, it's an interesting question because to me, and I have looked at loyalty for now. I have done this for over a decade and a half now. And there is a cost to loyalty, and there is the positive of loyalty that there are more customers coming to you. I think in the bargain, the gain is not that much as they make it out to be. And if you were to look at percentages, of course, they'll give you, for example, in my hotel, they'll tell you 56%, 60% is coming through the loyalty program. How much of it is repeat? How much of it is is not being counted when they are there the first time? Several of the times when the customer comes to you first time, they have these targets to convert them onto a loyalty program. Now, does that mean they're going to repeat with you? I mean, I have 20 different apps of different products on my phone because I am supposedly loyal to them. But am I really? I think the most loyal a person is to his barber shop. You only go to the same place where you always get your hair cut. So I don't think there is that much of a positive spin to it. Of course, there is a positive, but having said that, I think it can be replicated through other channels as well.
Any other questions? I wonder, Shwetank, if you have any thoughts on the cost-benefit analysis of doing it on your own as an owner, vis-a-vis outsourcing it. Have you done the numbers? Because it's...
You mean just the sales part?
Yeah.
No, so I haven't done the math on it, but the math is pretty obvious. I mean, once you know what your sort of portfolio is, and you know which channels you want to get, which channels you want to get into, what the setup is, those costs are pretty much standard now. You can sort of do it pretty quickly on the back of an envelope. Have I done it? No, not really, not for my portfolio. But I think that it can be done, and I think there is a merit there because in my previous job, I was almost, without naming the brand, we were almost at that point of cracking the deal with them. Sure. The problem is that when you buy into the brand's marketing side, they will apply certain restrictions to you, and they can't. And it's the way they think it works. So they will apply that, and those restrictions are what is causing a problem today, in my mind. So if they want to contribute to the sales, sure. I want to come through the brand.com. Sure, take the fees as any third-party website. I'm happy to pay you that. But I will not take the restrictions that you'll apply because of you doing that. So that's the idea.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Look, last question, yeah?
Yeah,
Very
sure.
quickly, yes.
No, everything. Complete control of sales and distribution. For example, let me give you another example. If you were to look at the sales and marketing strategy of most brands in Dubai, for example, they will talk about CIS countries, they'll talk about the UK, they'll talk about Germany, top three. These are top three for any company if you were to ask them to name the top 5. Okay, maybe not 1, 2, 3 in the same order, but that's what they'll talk about. Is anybody talking about Africa? Is anybody talking about South America, for example? Do you want to make that effort as a brand to educate those markets? Nobody's wanting to take the hard, sort of path on it. Everybody wants to take the easy path. Yes, there are wholesalers sitting there who will give you the business. But if you continue to go there, eventually you'll start losing price to them. You have to. That's the economics, because they know they have that power on you. So that's the idea. But complete control of sales and distribution is what I meant.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.